Hi guys, welcome to my biocast. In these videos, I'll be bringing you some of the most talked about stories in biotech over the past month, and then I'll be telling you what I think about them too. But I would love to make these videos a conversation, and having a one-way conversation isn't that fun. So let me know what you're thinking about this story or any of the stories I cover in my biocast by leaving some comments down below. So the story I'm going to cover today is the myth of a people-funded drug. And this story revolves around a cystic fibrosis drug which is being denied to patients in the UK over the cost. Orkambi by Vertex Pharmaceuticals is used to treat patients with cystic fibrosis over 2 years old and works by both increasing the amount of CFTR protein on the cell surface and increasing the activity of the defective protein already existing. Although Orkambi has been approved in the UK since 2016, it hasn't been available in the NHS due to cost. Vertex won £104,000 per patient per year for it, but this hasn't been deemed as cost effective by the NHS using NICE's value-based formula. NICE, or the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence, is England's health and technology assessor and provides guidelines on the feasibility of providing drugs on the NHS using their value-based formula. The NHS has offered Vertex a counteroffer of £500 million over 5 years for all of Vertex's drugs, but they've flat out refused. Now, things have got heated between the two institutions, with Jeff Leiden, CEO of Vertex, being called out on his salary of £17 million per year, and the company being exposed for earning £5 billion in sales without paying any corporation tax in the UK. However, this hasn't been enough to shame Vertex into any negotiations, and their aggressive stance remains. So this has been an ongoing issue for a while, but the spotlight was cast on Orkambi and Vertex when Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the Labour Party, posted on Facebook saying, "No child should be denied treatment because of a pharmaceutical company's greed. Orkambi is a drug that could extend the lives of thousands of children with cystic fibrosis." But the US company Vertex Pharmaceuticals, despite being funded by the US taxpayers and charitable donations to develop the drug, decided to ask for £104,000 per patient per year for Orkambi in the UK. In particular, it has sparked up the debate around the concept of a publicly funded drug. And whilst the sentiment behind Corbyn's post was well-intentioned, the content isn't exactly correct. Many drugs start out and go through preclinical testing from taxpayer funding or charitable donations, like Cancer Research UK or the National Institute for Health. Biopharma then pick up the drug and take it all the way through to clinical testing and post-market evaluation. This is because of the huge investment it takes to get a drug to market. It can cost anywhere from $1 billion to $3 billion and take over 12 years to complete the drug development process. And if a drug fails in late-stage testing, companies can lose hundreds of millions of dollars. In the case of Orkambi, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation initially paid around $200 million in the early days of the program for its non-profit drug discovery unit in collaboration with Vertex. It then received $3.3 billion when it sold its royalties to an investment firm. Orkambi have gone on to make $1.26 billion in sales in 2018, but Vertex Pharmaceuticals spent $1.41 billion on R&D in that same year. And it's hard to separate the amount actually spent on Orkambi, as pharmaceutical companies will have many projects in their R&D development pipeline at once. It does, however, dispel the myth of Orkambi being a publicly owned drug, as Vertex invested a lot more in the drug's development than it received initially from the CFF, and the costs were recouped by the charity through the non-profit when it sold its royalties. So I understand that Vertex want to recoup the costs that they spent developing Orkambi, but having such a persistent stance on pricing the price tag at £104,000 per patient per year is not the way to go about it. Because the NHS is funded by the taxpayer in the UK, NICE has to perform these cost-benefit analyses. Spending too much money on one drug will take away money from other drugs that are needed. And the fact that Orkambi isn't a miracle drug, i.e. it doesn't cure CF, will work against Vertex. There will be better therapies developed in the future, although making money on the existing drug will aid the development of these better therapies. And at the end of the day, Orkambi not being available on the NHS is primarily affecting the people, i.e. the children, who actually need it. Buyers clubs have been set up by patients' families to get their children the drugs they need. Robert Long, father of Aidan, who has cystic fibrosis, wrote in an article, I've been paying Vertex £8,000 every 28 days to ensure Aidan has access, but this is not sustainable in the long term. I'd identified a drug company making a generic version of Orkambi. For some, the generic price, at about a fifth of the Vertex price, could mean they can get their child access to the life-changing treatment they need. But for most, this price is still far more than they can afford. So, unsurprisingly, I think Vertex should work with NICE to find something that is mutually beneficial to both institutions. This is really important, firstly, for the patients who actually need this, the children who are suffering with cystic fibrosis, which this drug helps. Secondly, it won't do Vertex's public image any harm, actually it'll probably do it some good. And thirdly, they can actually start recouping some of the costs from Orkambi in the UK that they're currently losing to generics. But do you agree? Do you think that Vertex should take the way the NHS and NICE works into account? Or do you think they're quite right with sticking with the pricing that they're asking for? Other companies do adjust their prices depending on the healthcare system they're dealing with, so should Vertex do the same? Also, what's your opinion on the idea of a publicly funded drug? Because pharmaceutical companies and biotech companies take these molecules from an early stage and develop them, is it okay that they then own the rights to them and reap the rewards? Or is there a point at which the drug development process has been funded by the taxpayers and charities enough to be publicly owned? I'm really interested to hear your opinions on this because this concept isn't something that I'd heard of previously. It doesn't really make sense to me because of the just massive mismatch of funding between funding preclinical testing from grants and charitable donations through to the massive investments that biotech and pharma do to develop and complete this drug and get it to market. But yeah, what do you guys think? So to those of you who have made it to the end of this video, congratulations and thank you for watching. And whilst you're here, you might as well go and check out the Antibody Analytics company page. We put out loads of original content about the types of assays we work on, as well as the latest biotech news, and we also try and break it up with memes and videos. And when I say we, I mean me. So yep, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to reading your comments and seeing what you guys think, and I will see you on the next Biocast.